If you are a massive corporate publisher, your entire business model relies on a single idea, controlling the narrative. Every year, multi-billion-dollar companies spend hundreds of millions of dollars on fancy trailers, heavily orchestrated marketing campaigns, paid creator sponsorships, and strict review embargoes. The end goal is simple: make every launch feel like an unmissable moment so that millions of...
Dude, Xbox spends like $400,000 every 3-4 months on content creators to push their products, and all you get is toxic positivity. And you know what happens when you get too much toxic positivity? You get a whole bunch of toxic negativity. You get people that give games 10 out of 10, you get people that give games 0 out of 10, and there's no nuance anymore. Because all of the, in quotes, haters are actually just the people that are criticizing it. All the people that give things like 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, they get lumped in with the 0 out of 10. And it's just so bad.
Players buy in at full price before anyone realizes what state the game is actually in. On almost every single gaming platform, that strategy works. On consoles, player counts are completely hidden, star ratings are vague, and negative community sentiment is almost impossible for a buyer to see in real time. Then there is Steam. Within minutes of a game launching on Valve's store, the marketing illusion is shattered. You get real-time concurrent player metrics, an open graph, a breakdown of exactly how many hours a reviewer spent playing before writing their opinion, and a global color-coded score that instantly tells the world whether a game is worth its price tag. Publishers hate this level of transparency. For years behind closed doors, major...
because they can't manipulate people. They can't trick people with the choice supportive bias. Link down there in the description, check it out. It's a Wikipedia article.
Companies have tried to pressure Valve into turning down the light, asking them to...
Oh, Fables, you can't trust Wikipedia. Yeah, I know, but fucking read it, because sometimes there are some things that are actually worth reading from Wikipedia. When it comes to political nonsense, sure. When it comes to using it as an actual source, sure. But whenever you're talking about ideas, whenever you're talking about concepts, Wikipedia is pretty good at that. And if you don't trust it, check the sources that are listed for the Wikipedia article.
Hide player numbers, suppress negative feedback, and dial back the features that give buyers real leverage. Valve has repeatedly refused. New industry survey data and market analysis reveal why publishers are terrified of Steam's transparency, how these metrics dictate what you actually buy, and how Valve's refusal to hide the truth is reshaping the games industry. For a long time, developers and publishers understood that bad reviews hurt sales, but nobody had quantified how much power a Steam review score holds over a consumer's wallet. And
they want official reviews because the official reviews will skew because of social media clicks, and they get pushed in the algorithm whenever they're positive because algorithms don't like to push negativity. So all criticism being labeled as negativity don't get pushed, obviously, unless there's too much, like on X. See, on Threads, you don't see the negativity very often. On Blue Sky, you don't see the negativity. On Reddit, you don't see it. It gets downvoted and, downvoted out of existence. On Facebook, you get infiltrators who just want to shit all over you anytime you have any criticism.
Until recently, a massive study published by Game Discover Co. measured how store page transparency directly alters purchase behavior. The findings confirm that Steam reviews are not just a nice extra feature. Out of thousands of surveyed PC gamers, 72.5% regularly check reviews before spending a single dollar, with 40.5% stating they always read them. Only 2.5% of players ignore player reviews entirely. The real damage though happens when a game's aggregate score...
I don't mess around with those player reviews. I don't give a fuck. I will check to see if people that I like said something about it, and then I'll get it.
Drops below the top tier. The survey broke down how buyers react as an all-time rating degrades. When it's mostly positive or lower, 20.3% of...
I love how all the people who bitch about the economy being so bad buy every AAA game full price and even at a premium for extra bullshit, and they pretend it's good, but they want to talk about it, the economy's bad. Yeah, sure, buddy.
Players become instantly less likely to buy it. When it's mixed or lower, that number jumps to 30.8% of players. When you combine those figures with baseline hesitancy, landing a mixed score means roughly half of your potential customer base immediately treats your game with deep skepticism. Game Discover Co.'s historical data tracking of hundreds of launches shows that while an overwhelmingly positive score supercharges long-tail conversion, dipping into mixed causes wish list to sales conversion to drop off a cliff.
If I see overwhelmingly positive scores for games, especially on places that aren't Steam, I question it. I question it hard. Like, why is this overwhelmingly positive? Is it actually good, or is it being review bombed? And it's usually because it's being review bombed.
It isn't just the overall score doing the work, as over 80% of players pay direct attention to the recent review score. So if a game launches poorly, breaks in a patch, or adds predatory microtransactions, 32.9% of players will pause and dissect recent negative feedback before buying. Players did not point to subjective takes. The number one response by far was identifying bugs, performance drops, and technical flaws. As one player noted, "I only check to see if people report bugs and to see informed performance more than for the quality of a game," which Valve recently allowed players to attach their specs directly to the review. But review scores aren't Valve's only transparency measure. Valve has another massive layer, which is their mandatory generative AI disclosures. If a developer uses generative AI for art, audio, or text, they are required to flag it right on the store page. Data analyst Sulco Harrow conducted a massive census of over 53,000 Steam releases spanning over 3 years. The data reveals two realities. First, AI game production is exploding. By mid-2026, roughly 1 in 3 new Steam releases, 31% have an AI disclosure badge, up from just 7% when the policy launched. AI flagged titles account—
That's another thing. If you, like, say you make a post for social media, like an image post. All right, so what I'll do is I will screenshot like something from IGN. Let's use that as an example. A post from IGN, and I want to put text at the bottom of this image post having my opinion or explaining what's going on even further, right? And it's just blank background. You got an image, and then you got my text. I will plug that into AI to make it look better, and people will shit all over it. They'll insult me, say that I'm just posting AI slop, but then they turn around and they're playing these games that are actually AI slop. It's so fucking pathetic.
Account for 60 to 90% of all growth in Steam's monthly release volume. Second, players are actively avoiding them. Hero studies show that an AI-flagged game hits a modest tier of success, defined as gaining 100 or more reviews, roughly equivalent to 3,000 sales at only 55% of the rate of non-AI games. Despite making up a third of all new launches, AI-disclosed titles account for a tiny sliver of total platform revenue. They dominate the zero-review, long tail of games that nobody ever plays. Their average review score sit consistently lower, averaging around 77% positive compared to 81% for human-made titles, with the gap widening significantly on higher-priced releases. The Game Discover Co. survey data confirms why this happens. When asking players how they feel about the AI store tag, 31% of Steam fans view the disclosure negatively, and 8% state they will flat out refuse to buy any game with that label. On top of that, only 17% of players trust that developers are being—
I don't mind if somebody's using generative AI for things, even if the whole fucking game is AI. If it's good, man. But most of the time it's not, especially from AAA slop.
Being fully honest about how much AI they used. By baking AI usage into a mandatory public disclosure, Valve has created a real-time quality filter. The moment a low-effort game slaps generated art on its store page, well, their conversion numbers fall and the game vanishes into the abyss. But because transparency gives players immense power on Steam, major publishers have spent years looking for ways to break it. The clearest example of this surfaced when reports broke via via insider sources detailing a quiet campaign led by Ubisoft. Following multiple underperforming launches, Ubisoft insiders revealed that the publisher had directly approached Valve, asking them to restrict or disable public concurrent player count data. Why?
Holy
It's because
shit.
tools like SteamDB, Steam Charts,
They want special treatment because they want to be able to manipulate people.
hook directly into Steam's public API, exposing live concurrent player statistics to the entire world 24/7, with Steam also having their own player count charts across the platform so gamers can always see how the top games are performing. So when a large publisher spends hundreds of millions of dollars to launch a game and the peak player counts are barely a few thousand, they can no longer just hide behind fancy trailers and say the game was a success. Players have the data right in front of them. The insider stated that Ubisoft was one of several major publishers trying to pressure Valve to lock down the API so they could control the narrative and present a cleaner picture to shareholders. Valve's response was a firm refusal. The API remains completely public today, and this was not just some random incident. When publishers realize they cannot convince Valve to hide platform data, some just try to manipulate it themselves. Back in 2018, publisher Incel Games ordered its employees to write fake positive reviews on Steam to bump up their store score. Valve's response
Isn't that illegal?
was immediate. They caught the manipulation, banned the publisher entirely, and removed their entire catalog from the platform. So when publishers complain about organized review bombing, Valve will listen sometimes. But instead of removing user reviews, they build data-driven tools to contextualize them. Many times when a developer would report reviews to Valve asking them to remove them, a common Valve response is that they believe that data is important for players to know. Valve has introduced graphs to highlight sudden review spikes. They also built automated systems to flag and isolate off-topic outrage periods, and implemented localized language review scoring so non-English review bombs don't distort the default view for other regions. But throughout all this, players can still see all the data, even when the system flags a time period for off-topic review.
Yeah, I like it whenever reviews are based on, you know, the area that you're in, because sometimes games don't work in some areas. Sometimes they work better. Sometimes they're just flat out not available, even though you're still able to buy it. It's fucking ridiculous. Like Helldivers 2, for example. I think it'd be great. Like America should have their own review system, and like I don't know, the Philippines should have their own review system, and I shouldn't be able to look at I shouldn't be able to have to look at the Philippines reviews if they're having issues, but everybody else is not.
It's not like they're all just deleted.
That's not what it would be for.
You can still read through them to see what players are talking about. Valve's philosophy is consistent: refine the data, but never hide it from the buyer. But to understand why Steam's transparency is unique, you only have to look at where major publishers prefer to operate.
That's why they're on
console
top.
Marketplaces like the PlayStation Store or Xbox, player counts are kept secret. You cannot open a third-party tracker to see if your favorite multiplayer game is dying. User review scores are reduced to basic star ratings with little context, and refund policies are notoriously bad compared to Steam's automated 2-hour 14-day safety net. On the Epic Games Store, user reviews were deliberately kept off the platform for years to shield developers. Even today, ratings rely on an opt-in randomized survey prompt rather than an open public form. These closed ecosystems serve as publisher safe havens. In a low information environment, marketing dollars do the heavy lifting. A publisher can launch a broken or under-delivering game, collect millions in pre-orders and day one sales, and shield the real player response behind closed doors for weeks. Steam breaks that model entirely, and that's why you see top gaming executives constantly complain about these transparency features. By combining user reviews, concurrent player charts, and mandatory AI disclosures on a single store page, it forces a strict market rule. If you want long-term long-term success on PC, you cannot rely on hype alone. You have to build a game that holds up under public scrutiny. The latest
actually
survey
gotta be
data from
good.
Game Discover Co. and market research from Salcahero do not reveal a hidden secret. They quantify the exact system players rely on every single day. When 72.5% of players regularly check reviews, when a mixed rating scares away half of your audience, and an AI tag instantly lowers your conversion rate, the platform acts as a harsh quality filter. Publishers will likely continue asking for less visibility. They will push for fewer public metrics, quieter review systems, and more control over product pages. When you go to a game's Steam page and check the reviews, the top ones are the highest rated by actual gamers, whether it's positive or negative, not just what a journalist was paid to say. So by keeping the numbers open, Valve protects the most valuable asset any storefront can have: consumer trust. When players know a store isn't hiding broken games, dying player bases, or low effort assets, they buy these video games with confidence. Steam's refusal to hide the truth might frustrate corporate executives, but for
And honestly, it's great and all. I actually kind of don't trust Steam. I trust Steam right now, but I don't trust them in the future. So I don't just buy games on Steam. I buy games on GOG also, because I'm afraid that Steam is going to get shitified eventually whenever Gabe dies or something, or he retires and hands it off to somebody else. So I got GOG. I might get into itch.io because I don't know anything about that platform. And I know that they were pushing back against the age verification stuff, and they were pushing back against, the payment processors.
For millions of PC players, it remains the single best feature on the entire platform.
Yeah, Steam, man. I fucking love Steam. So what I do, the new games that I buy, I get them from Steam. The old games I buy, I get them from GOG. Like DOS games, stuff like that. Yeah, GOG, that's the place to go, man. Or like the Xbox 360 era games. Like, I don't have Fallout New Vegas on GOG yet, but I will probably get it eventually. But I don't really want to give Bethesda any more money.